My name is Sarah Arney. I'm the Community Development Planner for the City of Kinston, and I'm one of the facilitators of the Downtown Kinston Mural Program, but we also have representation on the call today from our selection committee. Dr. J is one of them. I think I see Bennett on the call as well. And we've also had community members who have helped consult with us on specific murals. So specifically, Gary Jones with us today was a big help in creating the content for this particular mural. The Downtown Kinston Mural Program was born out of a National Endowments for the Arts grant that the city received, and we are using it to create 7 original murals in downtown Kinston. This is one of them. We have one that's already up by artist Max Moses on Jay's Place downtown at 110 West Blood Street, so you can check that one out too. The one that we're going to talk about today, and Broderick, I'll introduce him in just a second, is at 212 West North Street, where the Mad Hatter is, near Pearson Park. So if you haven't gone to see it yet, we'll be seeing it this evening, but go check it out in person. The goal of the mural program was to bring in artists nationally and locally to create original art that really speaks to the history and the things that make Kinston special. And of course, when the mural selection committee was talking about that, athletics comes up again and again as one of the things that distinguishes Kinston in North Carolina, but also just nationally as a city. So we definitely wanted that represented, but we knew how important it was to try and do it right, knowing that there are so many people who we can represent in any mural like this. So when we saw Broderick's application, the mural selection committee really liked Broderick's art and his commitment to community engagement, which is also incredibly important to the committee, and felt like he would be a great artist to come and join us. And thankfully, he was able to come even during the time of coronavirus. He was able to come visit us and just completed the mural at the end of October. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Broderick Flanigan, who can tell you a bit more about himself and his experience as an artist and experience creating this mural in Kinston.
All right, thank you. Can we record this? Does anybody mind if we record? Do you have the ability to record?
Yes, I'm recording it now, and I'll send you a copy.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So good evening, everyone. I'm Broderick Flanigan. First off, before I get into the talk portion, I want to start out by, thanking the committee for selecting me to be a part of the program. I really appreciate that. It's a thorough process to go through, and I'm creating opportunities for artists to be able to do work like this is highly important. And so I definitely don't take that lightly at all. And so I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And so I just want to make sure I, put that energy out there and reiterate that. Can't say that enough, how grateful I am, to be chosen to be a part of this program and this, the revitalization, I guess, of downtown Kinston. And so with that being said, definitely want to share a little bit about how I got started, doing murals, and some of the programs I do back home in Athens. And then I'll talk a little bit about how we arrived at the mural that we created that we're speaking of here tonight, titled Kinston Strong. And so I began doing murals in around 2014. I think it was when I did my first mural. I really had no idea what I was doing back then, and so it was a huge learning curve I had to catch up to. I'm mostly self-taught artist, and so I'm taking art classes in high school, and I've always loved art. I've been drawing most of my life, most of my young life. At a real early age, about 5 or 6 is when I started drawing, and then I just developed over time, And so mural making became part of my process when I opened up my studio in 2014 in Athens, Georgia. Title is called Flanigan's Portrait Studio. And so I've been operating that studio space, actual brick and mortar space, since 2014. Actually, my anniversary date just passed at the end of October. And I opened up in, I want to say the 24th of October in 2014 when I opened my doors to the community. And started off doing classes for youth in the area. My studio is located in a resilient community. I use that term intermittently with like low resource, underserved, public housing, the projects. That's where my studio is located back home, right in the heart of that community. I actually lived there for a moment while I was growing up. And so I'm very rooted in that community and connected to it in a lot of ways. And so it was important for me to go into that community with my studio space to create a creative outlet for some of the youth there that deal with different issues. And so as I was learning how to do murals, I thought to have the idea to incorporate youth into that process. I actually created a program called the HARPS Mural Arts Program, or Teen Mural Arts Program, in which, and HARPS, it stands for Helping Art Reach Public Spaces. It's just the umbrella brand that I use when I'm doing public artworks or large works anywhere, pretty much. And so I was able to create a branch of that program that really spoke to youth and teens. There was a gap in services in our community with teens. And so I saw it as an opportunity to really engage them and bring them into the artistic process, teach them about public art, about the creative process, how to express yourself through art, different elements of the art, like, patterns, color, use of color, space, and all those different elements of art that are there. And so trying to make sure that they, get to experience some of the things that helped me make it through the times when I was dealing with some of the things that they deal with today. Because art for me was kind of like a coping mechanism growing up when I was going through some of those issues in our community. And so to date, we've done about, I want to say 8 or 9 projects under the HARPS program, mural program for teenagers. And one of the special things I do with that program is I build the youth into the budget to make sure that I pay them a stipend when I'm able to. Because sometimes I work with the school district as well. I have a partnership with them. And when I'm working with youth in the school, I'm not allowed to pay them, while we're working on mural projects. And so when we're outside working in the community in private spaces, though, I'm able to pay them a stipend. And so, Sarah, if you could pull up that one image of the 4 women on the wall. I don't know if you're able to pull it up just yet. But there's an image of one of the murals that I recently created, recently finished before coming to North Carolina. I was working on a mural there under the HARTS program that was funded by some grants that I was able to piecemeal together. And the mural really speaks to some of the matriarchs in the community. In East Athens, over near where my studio is located, there are several women that helped shape and advocate for resources for that community over the years. And hopefully we can get the image up so you can kind of see, so I can make reference to it. And so they did a lot of community work, some of the same work I'm doing now. It's kind of like paying homage to those that came before my generation and even generations before that. Making sure that people are aware of who some of these people were. In our community in Athens, sometimes the African-American history is not as well known. And so I made it a point to really inject that into part of my process as an artist so that we can share that history more widely and that we can pass that information on to those future generations. And so when I was working with the youth, I was able to, Sarah, we aren't able to see the picture. We're looking at your screen right now. It looks like you're trying to set up the live stream. All right, there we go. Okay. Um,
Back out.
yeah, it's still loading. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That mural right there. So this mural is called Matriarchs, and it's like I was saying, it's about some of the elders in the community, some of the women that help carry the torch to advocate for resources in East Athens. If you're looking at the screen to your left, you have Miss Jessie Barnett, and then next to her you have Miss Evelyn Neely, and then Miriam Moore, and on the far right you have Miss Virginia Walker. They just named a park in Athens after Miss Walker. They dedicated it to her and put a monument there. I was able to attend that event this past Sunday. And so they're starting to recognize more of that history. But again, this project was done in conjunction with the youth. And I had about 10 youth work on this particular project. And each one of them got a stipend for working on it. It took us about, I want to say about 3 weeks to complete. And they were able to learn about these women, some of the things they were able to do, including starting a neighborhood health center. Some of them had daycares that they ran to make sure that the children were taken care of while their parents were working. And they just did many, many things like advocating for affordable housing and different resources for their immediate community. So you can move on to the next image, the one of Hot Corner. And so this mural is important to me because I was able to work with an international artist by the name of Elio Mercado. And as I mentioned earlier, as I was learning the process of creating murals, I was just grabbing knowledge from different places and different spaces. And working with Elio Mercado, he was brought in by the Cultural Affairs Commission in Athens, Clark County, to create this mural that recognizes a historic African-American business district in Athens called Hot Corner. And Hot Corner was a bustling scene. I want to say it was in its prime and peak in the 40s and 50s, and went on into the late 60s, actually, with dozens of African-American owned businesses, anywhere from insurance companies, cab companies, I think there was a general store, dentist's office, doctor's office, different professional suites. And then it was anchored by this historic theater called Morton Theater that was built by Monroe Pink Morton. And he's the guy that's in the oval shape portrait in the top left corner of the mural. And so this mural was important to me, being from Athens and being able to learn about and recognize the history there of Hot Corner. And then being able to work with the international artist, I learned a lot from him, about scaling up murals and about the process of, creating murals using the modified grid method. And so that is largely how I've been able to refine my skills as a muralist and to create projects like the one we just did in Kinston. But again, it's about preserving that history and that culture, of this space. Now, this is in downtown Athens. It's near where Hot Corner was. We had some issues pop up when we were getting ready to put the mural on the side of the Morton building. There were some issues that popped up there, so we had to relocate the mural to this building, which is also owned by, our city government. But this actual space is bigger than the original proposed space, so it kind of worked out in the end. And which kind of like leads me to the last mural I want to show you prior to getting to the one about Kinston. This was a mural I did immediately after working with Elio Mercado, the Miami-based artist. This one's in Denver, Colorado. I was visiting my sister up there in Denver, and I was able to do this mural. I was going around the art district there in Denver, asking could I paint a wall so I could kind of show some of the things that I learned and how my process has progressed and tested out. And so this mural right here was done on the side of an art gallery space in the art district in the Santa Fe Art District in Denver, Colorado. And so I was able to work with the gallery owner. We didn't really have much of a budget to work with. And I actually bought some of the materials out of my own pocket. And I was able to communicate with some of the residents in the area just about the space they were in. They spoke a lot about the indigenous people that lived there. There was a Arapaho, I believe, tribe that was there. And there were a few other tribes that they spoke to. I can't remember the exact names of them at the moment. And it was just interesting learning about some of that history. And they spoke about also gentrification, the process by which larger corporations came into this particular section that used to be kind of considered the center of downtown, so to speak, before Denver kind of grew and exploded. And they spoke to how there were a lot of smaller shops, like a lot of locally owned shops, not the big franchise shops, the big box stores and stuff. And they spoke about remembering that space and the people that were living there, around there, and how over time they were kind of pushed out. And you see this cycle and this wave of like people coming in and then people getting displaced. And so that's kind of what this mural speaks to, the process of the fleeting nature of people, indigenous people, and minority groups, Black and brown people, you know, that get displaced in some instances. And so people really enjoy the mural. They given me a lot of positive feedback around this mural. We were worried about somebody maybe tagging the mural, but so far as I know, it's remained intact. They have a big mural festival actually in Denver. It's called Crush Walls. And I actually, when I did this mural, I missed that mural festival by about 2 weeks, I think. And I thought that was pretty interesting. But I got to see a lot of the city, a lot of murals in Denver. And so you can move to the next slide, the first piece. Yeah, there we go. And so now we arrive here at the Kinston mural. And this is the Kinston Strong. The mural is titled Kinston Strong. And so after speaking with the committee, we got a chance to have a few dialogues actually. And we spoke about athletics was one of the resounding themes that kept coming up. And so they wanted me to kind of create a design around athletics and incorporate youth sports into that. And there was this like a lot of talk around recreation and the importance of the recreation department for the development of some of the professional athletes that have come through Kinston. And so I was able to learn about, you know, some of the athletes from Kinston that went to, was it Kinston High, I believe it was, or Lenore County High School. And so I was able to kind of work with Mr. Jones, who I think is on the call, the Zoom call. He actually did a book called The Formula to Go Pro, Kinston, North Carolina, and he has sent me a copy of the book. And so I used that as a reference point when I started to kind of create the design around the mural. And the book was a big help because it really kind of lays out kind of a general overview of a lot of the professional athletes that have come through Kinston. And basketball is what Kinston is known for, and that's why you have the prominence of the basketball players, the NBA players. And we had a dialogue about that as well, because people were just reminding me, or, you know, making a point that there were more than just basketball players that should be represented in the mural. And I definitely took took heed to that message. And so, I mean, I'll come and revisit that a little bit later in the talk, but I was also able to look through the book to see some of the images, because one of the reasons why I thought basketball should be highlighted was because I read an article that spoke to how in Kinston, I think 1 in 56 or 57 players actually make it to the professional level, I believe it was, college or professional level in Kinston, like 1 out of every 57 players in the city of Kinston. And so the ratio compared to the rest of the world is like 1 in 10,000. And so I think there's a documentary also that's coming out that's speaking to that will be shown on ESPN. And so that was one of the reasons why basketball has such a prominent space in this mural. And now the images you see there were chosen mainly because I was able to work with a photographer, NBA photographer, by the name of Steve Leposki. And he worked with the Celtics, I believe it was. Mr. Jones put me in contact with him. And so the NBA images that you see there are his handiwork. And so I was able to get some usage agreements going with him to use those images in this mural. And the woman here that you see with the 35 of the Miami Soul jersey, that's Miss Jamaica Jones. She's actually on the call tonight, the Zoom call. And so I thought it was very important as well to have a good gender representation. Even though she's the only one that is to this scale, there are several other women players who either played overseas or went to college level to play basketball, including Lydia Rivers, I believe it was her name. And so that was a part of the discussion as well, just about the gender balance. And so down below, when I have the youth there represented, I was very aware of that and trying to make sure that there were more women represented amongst the youth at the bottom of the mural. And so the people down at the bottom of the mural looking up, they are representations of youth. You can go to the next slide if you want, Sarah. And so this is a better shot of some of them. And as you can see on the back of their jerseys, they have different names. And so the committee also worked with me to get the list of names of other people that should be represented in the mural. And those are represented on the back of the jerseys with the numbers. So you have Wiggins, you have Quentin Coples, you have Bullock, what is that, Hodges, and Caps. And so you have baseball players, professional football players, and other NBA players as well represented there. And then one thing I added was the guy on the far left with the cap and gown and the graduation diploma in his hand. It was mentioned indirectly in the conversation with the committee just about the importance of education. And so it was kind of a last minute addition to put that in there. But just remembering that conversation, I wanted to make sure I put that in there some type of way as a nod or an acknowledgement of the importance of education to just in general to make it throughout life, whether you're a professional athlete or whether you choose another pathway. Education is very important. I do a lot of education advocacy here in Athens in our community, working with different school districts and things of that nature. And so, was somebody had a question? Okay. And so, yeah, just speaking to the youth and the recreation sports there, this is the way I was able to show and display that throughout the mural. You can go to the next slide. Again, same thing on this side. And the one thing I'll point out on this picture here is the image of the coach. They spoke at length about the great coaches and like just that mentoring element and family support, definitely family support that that a lot of these great athletes needed along the way to really become accomplished athletes and professionals. Again, most of them went through the rec sports there in Kinston and high school there, and they had coaches and mentors along the way. And so that coach figure there is a representation of that. I was able to meet one or two coaches. I think Coach Jones, I believe that's his last name, but he was able to take me to the Holloway Recreation Center, and I was able to see some of the actual courts there and the space there. They actually have I guess a memorial to some of the professional athletes that come through there and that used to live in the area, or that play basketball there, or rec league sports in those spaces. So I thought it was pretty cool that some of the athletes came back and actually invested in that space to help create that room. And you can go to the next slide. I think it's one or two more. Well, yeah, you can go back to the beginning to the overall mural slide. And so the names of the athletes at the top, you got Jamaica Jones on the far left. You got Reggie Bullock in the Detroit jersey, number 25. And then you have Cedric Cornbread Maxwell. And next to him on the other side, you have Jerry Stackhouse in the Pistons jersey, number 42. Then you have Brandon Ingram, which is one of the most recent NBA players, I believe, to come out of Kinston. He was drafted, I want to say, in 2016 to the Lakers. I think he plays for another team now. And then you have Charles Shackelford on the far end, on the far right. He's no longer with us on this side of life. But the committee thought, it was fitting to add him as well. And so, yeah, I think that's the gist of the mural. Definitely want to, pay a tribute or say thanks to the Mad Hatter owner, the restaurant owner. So this building that this mural is located on is on the side of the business adjacent to Mad Hatter restaurant. And the staff there was very helpful throughout the process. I really appreciate them for being supportive, allowing me to use their water source. They even gave me a gift card for food to help with lunch. And they had some great, fish and chips and stuff. Was able to work with Pastor Kuntz and Dr. J as well. They took me to lunch a few times. So I appreciate them as well, and for the knowledge that they were able to tell me about the local community.
And the tour you took 2 tours of Kinston, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am. I took 2 tours. Yeah, one with Dr. J and another one with one of the other coaches that was there. Actually, Pastor Kuntz took me around a little bit too. So I kind of had 3 tours. Yeah. But it was all very insightful. Definitely felt welcome there in the community. Really, really appreciated, all that support. And I think the project turned out, pretty well. Overall, when community members would come by, they were showing appreciation, thanking me for doing the mural, telling me how much they appreciated, asking questions, asking who people were, asking what about this person, what about that person. I got quite a bit of questions. And so, but overall, it was a lot of positive energy though. And it was just a great experience. And so with that being said, I will turn it over to the audience for questions, for Q&A. I'm cool with this if the group is the committee. I'll defer to the committee, but I'm cool with the face-to-face.
Yeah, like I said earlier, a lot of people were paying a lot of compliments on Facebook. I had contacted Bud, one of the photographers in Kinston, and let him know that you were there. And he had contacted Junior Smith, one of the journalists, to come by, Now I know I'm getting a lot of questions when people asking me, when is the dedication? Why didn't they know? Stuff like that. So I know that's something you can't answer, and I really can't answer either. I told them it's gonna be sort of like a dedication in the future.
Yeah, I would definitely be. Yeah, and I'll just add to that I would not mind coming back up that way for that event. Like I said, I felt very welcome there. Was able to connect with other artists like Jamil. He's on the call. Shout out to him for he cooked as well for a few times, a couple of great meals, and banana pudding. Oh man, the banana pudding it was great. All right, any other questions? I know that can't be the only question or statement.
I was about to say, I don't have a question, but I'm going to take a moment to just say something. I did comment on, I believe it was a post that you put up, and I was in art too. So I took art appreciation and things in college. So to number one, just kind of see that in the city where I grew up in, I've never witnessed it. I don't know if they had some things like that before my time, but growing up, I've never witnessed any type of mural being put up, thought about. So just for you to be able to want to take the opportunity to do that, period, like I said, you could have been anywhere. But you chose to, take interest in Kinston. We're small, but we're big. So the reason it says Kinston Tough, Kinston Strong, there's a lot of talent, a lot of great people, whether they make it or not, whether they get that opportunity or not. We have a lot of great products that come out of Kinston. So I just want to take the moment. Number one, I appreciate being a part of it. I'm sure there are tons of voices behind the fact that I'm on the wall along with those guys. You wouldn't believe how tough it is growing up with the guys. But yeah, try being one of the girls and it's all guys. So, but I definitely want to take the time to just, appreciate you for doing that for us, for putting the time in, the effort. I don't know how many people touched it, helped you, sent you, but you did all the work. So I just want to show my appreciation and say thank you for doing such a great job, number one, for being totally interested in doing that project, and for definitely coming out with a great outcome. It looks good. And my favorite part is the graduate and the coach. Yeah, we're on there, but graduation, none of us could have made it nowhere that we've been without education. And so, coming up at that time, our parents beat education into us. And definitely, if some of our younger folks would take right behind us, we'd probably have a lot more pictures on there. But definitely education was totally important. And coach, I can run on for days. A lot of great coaches that took the time to plant seeds in us, continued to water us, fertilize us, and all of us became well-grown trees, plants, or whichever one you like to be. I want to be a flower, so I was a well-grown flower. But I had guide coaches. I had Terry Wooten was my only female coach, but everyone from playing in elementary to playing at teachers, like you said, to Holloway, to having rivals with Fairfield and things of that nature. It really made us what we are today. So I just want to thank everybody that's on the call, that's in the committee, that's not here, that has taken the time to just show y'all's appreciation for our accomplishments that most of you have embedded in us. So I just want to say thank you again, 10 times.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you, definitely. And I was able to meet your parents as well. Your parents came, paid a visit a few times to the mural. But no, I appreciate it. I appreciated all of that, the feedback, the energy. Like it was welcome and well received, you know. And I guess I can tell a quick story about it, a short story if I may. When they first saw the image, when it was in its raw stage, it was kind of just a sketch up there. They were talking about, well, that don't really look like Jamaica. You know, the nose is kind of big and stuff. And I was like, okay, I can work on it. But it wasn't quite finished just yet when they saw it. And so, you know, but I you know, like I said, I took the feedback and, you know, made sure that I paid close attention to that.
I bet that was my mama, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was she was looking out. She was looking out. But no, it was great. And yeah, like the picture that I had of you, to be fair, it wasn't the best quality picture, you know, so I was working with that as well. But you know, that was one of the better pictures that I could find of you in like an action shot, you know, that wasn't really like blurry or that has you looking real, you know, just in your element. So
right.
Yeah. But no, it was well received, and thank you for the kind words. Definitely, I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. Anytime.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, I mean, I think murals are very, very important. First off, I think art is one of the highest forms of expression, and you know, to be able to, I look at artists. I can't remember where I heard it from, so I know I'm borrowing this from somebody, but I wish I could give them credit. But you know, like I look at artists as kind of like historians of the times, right? And so we kind of help, in a way, use visual language in a way that kind of really captures moments in history, you know, for future generations and for people in the present. And so to be able to do that and to do it on a grand scale and to be able to share that message or that imagery or whatever it may be, whether it be a song or a dance performance or a play, you know, just look at what Lin-Manuel Miranda's work is doing, you know, on Broadway and whatnot. And so, you know, I just view art in that esteem. And so public art and murals is right there along with that in that conversation. You know, it has the ability to raise awareness around certain issues and subjects, to inspire people. There may be people that see the mural and are inspired to stay in school and to graduate and to work hard and to listen to their coach. You know, you never know what maybe that spark for someone to see. And I know for me growing up, I didn't see a lot of representation of Blackness in some of the spaces that I was in. Even as an adult, when I got into community organizing and looking at paying attention to local politics. I don't want to get too political on this, but just going into certain spaces like that, I didn't see a lot of representation of myself, kind of like Ms. Jones, Jamaica Jones was speaking to earlier, just about seeing representation of people that look like you. And so a lot of that is important. And to be, like I said, to be able to do it at this scale, it just speaks volumes. And I'm glad I was able to be a part of it.
I've got a question here. Broderick, first of all, I'm Steve Williams. My name's Steve Williams. Let's see if I can get my picture on here. I'm from Athens, Georgia, and have had the great pleasure of working with Broderick now for, I guess about the last 4 years or so. And I guess I would say, rather than working, following Broderick or trying to keep up with Broderick in his work in and around Athens. And being very modest, he's a great artist, but he's also a terrific community organizer and a real leader and an educator. And that he's filled all of those roles simultaneously, both with his art and with his work with various groups within the community. So I just wanted to say, our town is now blessed with a number of his murals around town, a lot of his schools where he's worked with the kids, and we've been really blessed with having him as a citizen of Athens. And it's a great art town, and he's a great artist in a great art town. So what does that tell you? I do have a question, though, Broderick, in terms of what, if anything, you take away from this experience in Kinston, and specifically maybe about the town or maybe about yourself and working in another town, different place.
That's a great question. Thank you for all those kind words, Mr. Steve Williams. Yeah, I've been working with him and his church on a few things. And so yeah, I think I took away a couple of things. I see a lot of the parallels that I see in Athens and Kinston. I don't want to go too much into detail about it, but just for the sake of time. And, I really wish I would have been able to connect with the community a little bit more. I did put out an opportunity to work with an artist there in Kinston. I had a desire to work with a younger artist, somebody from the community specifically, to try to maybe help pass some of the knowledge that I have along to them, so that they can go on and further their journey on their pathway. And so, yeah, Kinston is a small town, but like Ms. Jones was saying, it's big as well. And I see a lot of heart and resilience there, a lot of grit. And for me, it was a testament of my own discipline in a lot of ways. I didn't really share this with the committee much, but I was working 10-hour days on average when I was working on the mural, because I wasn't necessarily trying to rush the project, but I kind of had a timeline I was working with, and I was trying to stay on schedule with that timeline. And in the middle of that, I learned that my daughter and her mother was sick. They had contracted COVID. And so, they're doing better now. They're recovering and recovered. And so, it was just a lot to contend with. And again, like I said, I had to just really, it was a testament to my own will and discipline to be able to get up early in the morning and stay at the wall all day and work through. The heat kind of got to me a little bit a couple of days. The bright light that was bouncing off the wall. And so those are some of the things I learned about myself and some of the things that I really learned about the community. There's a lot of passion there in the community. I learned about a young man, I think his name was Chris, who started an organization. Um, I can't remember the name of the organization. Maybe one of the Kinstonians can correct me on that. But I was just impressed by this young man doing all this work. And from what I understand, he started doing like community projects around the age of 8. And so he's like, what, 19 or 20 now, maybe 21? Yeah, Kinston Teens. And the young man's name is Chris Suggs. And yeah, so I saw a news clip of him when I was looking up some stuff about Kinston. I saw a news clip of him talking about the organization, talking about his aspirations, his goals for the community, how he was trying to uplift community and bring people with him, and create opportunities for jobs. Because, you know, that's some of the same type of work that, oh, okay, his mother's on here. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's so awesome. And so, yeah, just I was impressed by the young man, and like I started doing that type of work later in life. You know, I was an adult already before I started doing that type of work. But to see someone his age get out there with that type of confidence and fortitude, it kind of gave me a renewed energy and strength. And so I really, really appreciated that. That was one of the things I brought from Kinston as well. Yeah, shout out to him and more success to him and his organization. I saw a couple more questions in the chat. Do you want to read those out, Sarah, so I don't get them kind of confused? So my next big project that I'm trying to work on and put together right now is I saw this idea that was actually put into play in Atlanta. There was this building that was up for demolition. They were doing some reconstruction or redevelopment in downtown Atlanta. And before they demolished the building, they let artists come in and take over the space. And they created a temporary art center. And so they had different artists come in from all over the city and put up installations, put up murals, put up sculptures, and all kind of things like that. And so I would really love to recreate that in my town, in Athens. I'm working with a couple of organizations to secure funding. I have a pretty robust budget I'm trying to put together for it. And so that's kind of what I've been working on behind the scenes as of late. And there's a housing redevelopment that's going to happen here in Athens, Clark County, in the next year or two. And I'm trying to partner with them to allow me to bring artists in to recreate what they did in Atlanta in one of the housing project buildings before they demolish it and then resurrect new affordable housing there. And so that is one of the larger projects, probably the largest I've tried to do to date. And so that's the next thing that I want to do. You know, housing has been an issue that's something I've been keenly trying to learn about on the one hand, but also advocate for as I'm learning. And just thinking about processes that were put on by the federal government and redlining and how banks were complicit in all of that, and critiquing that as an artist is important to me. And so, yeah, that's one of the next projects that I have going on. And in terms of working with the elders and connecting the youth, I was able to do an art exhibit in Athens called Sitting with the Elders from some of the previous work I've done around Hot Corner and stuff. And so I can see myself furthering that work in a lot of ways, trying to, again, form some type of bridge between the generations and where there can be a transfer of knowledge. You know, I don't want you know, I don't want the elders to transition into, you know, what's beyond life, and then them not give that knowledge and wisdom to the generation coming behind them. I've been just noticing a disconnect between a lot of the youth in my community where I'm from and some of the elders in the community. The elders are passionate about the youth and want to connect with the youth, but in some ways, there's just a gap there, there's a disconnect. And so the Sitting with the Elders project was one way that I was trying to help bridge that gap, and like highlighting some of the elders in our community, some of the African Americans that have done great things, that have advocated in certain ways, and making sure that their legacy is preserved on the one end, but then also that is digestible for the generation coming behind them. So I did a series of portraits highlighting each person. It was about 25 people to start with, but there are hundreds. There are hundreds in the Athens community that have done great work, from desegregating spaces to becoming the first to hold office in a certain space, or to advocate for resources, and just a myriad of things. And so I do want to turn that project into a book at some point, and hopefully I'll be able to still bring that project to fruition as well, and even try to position it so that the school district can use it as a tool in teaching kids about the local history. So great question, thank you. I hope that answered all the parts of it. Do we have time for a few more? How are we doing on time, Sarah? I mean, I can keep going. I mean, it's no big deal.
I'll just add a comment, and good evening, everybody. I am Crystal Suggs. I am a council member here in Kinston, and I just wanted to formally say thank you on behalf of the city, on behalf of our mayor. It's been such an honor to have you all come in doing this work and amplifying the voices and the projects and the different things that have transpired from Kinston. You know, I know earlier a question was raised about the importance of murals, and you expound upon that a great deal. And I just wanted to add that it just brings life into real life, today's life, like real time to yesterday's history. I think that when people go through, everybody will get just a different image or a different feeling, or take something different away from murals. And I've had the honor and opportunity to travel a lot with my son, Chris, that you mentioned earlier, in his organization and his work with Kinston Teens. He's been on some major platforms, and just seeing other cities amplify art throughout, you know, whether it's murals or metal art pieces, and, you know, art in parks or art in roundabouts or something throughout towns. It's just a beautiful sight to see, and it's just beautiful, the takeaways that each individual will get from those. So I just wanted to say thank you again for your work, your dedication. The mural is beautiful. I'm surprised there are not more people on this call, because so many people have been talking about it. Like, it is truly the buzz of the city, and we could not be more honored to have you have put that work and put that much thought in. That's a craft. I mean, you're totally gifted, and we really appreciate that you shared with us.
Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot. I really appreciate that. And yeah, your son is amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. I didn't get a chance to meet him in person. I wish I had, because I was talking to Pastor Kuntz about it, because he was like, yeah, he lives around the corner over there. And I at the time, I was just on a lunch break. I had to get back to the wall, so we didn't have time to go by there and visit. But I would like to connect with him at some point, maybe, you know, just to tell him how much I appreciate the work, you know. Sometimes the work is thankless work, you know. We don't do it for the praise or anything like that, but it's still good to hear that people acknowledge it, you know. It kind of gives you that energy to keep going.
Indeed, indeed. We'll definitely make sure we make a connection. Appreciate that.
Yeah. How many people do we have watching on the Facebook? Do we have any? Anyone? Yeah, you can contact me through Facebook or Instagram at Flanigan's Portrait Studio. That's Flanigan, Flanigan's Portrait Studio. And definitely, reach out, connect, follow the page, follow the work. Um, Definitely appreciate all the love and support out there. I'm definitely feeling it. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to having you back in Kinston again, maybe for another mural, or
Yeah.
just to give you another tour, or to sit and eat some of Jamil's
Banana
banana
pudding.
pudding.
We got to find out a way that you can make one without as much sugar and still keep
Oh,
it Yeah.
well, I just want to thank you. Just the fact that you came into our little town and you were so welcoming and receiving to people that came by. Because I spent some time out there while you were doing the painting. And as people would come by, you always, made a chance, stop what you were doing to have a conversation and engage people. And I think that says a lot about you, but also says a lot to the people who will now see the mural, to know the artist behind it and the kindness that you brought and the attention to detail that you gave and the heart that you have for this work. So much love to you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Broderick, you alluded earlier to some of the work that you've done with students, and in particular, I mean, that is, there's the community art, but then there's the art that you have done with students in a lot of the schools that I think highlights not just your artistry, but also the way you can educate. You're really an educator. So you've not just inspired the students by your art and them getting to help you with that art, but you educate them as you do it. And to me, that's really one of the true strengths that you have that maybe not everybody, most people don't, let's face it. But you've worked, I know, with both middle school and high school students. And
Yes,
that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. A lot of the work that Mr. Williams is speaking to is like, work I've done through the Teen Mural Arts program. And so just put together opportunities to engage youth and to work with the art teachers there in the schools has been a great joy and a blessing. I was a parapro when I graduated from Georgia Southern in 2011. I was a parapro for a while and a substitute teacher. And so as I was trying to find adequate employment, with my degree, I have a BS in kinesiology with an emphasis in exercise science. And so I loved sports. I played basketball in high school, actually. I didn't get to play at the collegiate level or anything like that. I was only a halfway decent player. I was a good shooter, though, But we had a lot of talented guards on our team. So, don't want to take anything else away from anybody. But and so, I've always had a passion for sports and for being around athletes. And so that first chosen career path didn't really pan out like I anticipated. And that's when I kind of reverted back to the drawing board, literally, and getting back involved with the art and arts throughout that process. Yeah, like I said, I was substitute teaching, working in the schools. And so when I was able to create a program, it was only fitting that I go back into the schools to be able to work through my passion. And I think I was able to translate that really well for a couple of reasons. As I was trying to figure things out and how to be an artist, I was going to a lot of different talks. And one of those talks was at the Arthur Blank Foundation up in Atlanta. I was invited by a colleague in Athens. And so I took the opportunity. I took a leap of faith, so to speak, some people like to say. And I went up there, and the keynote speaker was Jane Golden. Jane Golden, she helped to start the mural arts program in Philadelphia, the MAP. And, in Philadelphia, they have some of the most murals per square foot or square mile in the world, I want to say. And they started that program in the late 80s with the mayor then, Wilson Goode, African-American mayor. And he saw that young men were like tagging and graffiti writing all over the buildings around the city. And it was costing the city money to repaint those buildings. And so he came up with the idea, or him and some other people came up with the idea to bring those young men in, to teach them about art, to teach them about public art, and to show them how to create these aesthetically pleasing images on the wall using their craft, using the spray paint. And so just to be able to rechannel that energy like that, it just spoke volumes to the work that I wanted to do at that time. And so I borrowed that idea, like they say, good artists borrow, great artists steal. I stole that idea and brought it back to my community. And the rest was kind of destiny, I guess you could say, or history. I was able to work with a lot of youth throughout that process, just from hearing that story, just from hearing her journey, that story. I was able to take that idea and put it into practice in my community. And so I, just was appreciative, I just was able to make do and to, like I said, just to work through my passion, work with the youth, transfer those skills and knowledge, inspire a few people. I did a mural at one of the high schools, and one of the young ladies that was at the high school, I think she was a freshman or sophomore, and it was her first time really working on a project like this. She had messaged me on I think it was YouTube or something. She posted a public comment saying that how much she appreciated learning about the history and culture that we were speaking about around that specific project, and how she felt more included in the school environment, being able to participate in that way, and to have that reminder of the mural hanging up in their school that she helped to create. And so just little messages like that, really kind of just spoke volumes to me of how the work of engaging youth and to create opportunities for them to thrive and to explore their own pathways. And that's where the crux of it is for me, is going in there and being able to do projects like that. And yeah.
Thank you very much, Broderick, for your time and for sharing your art with us. And thank you to everyone who's been on the call today and everyone who's watched via Facebook Live. What's great is that we are not done yet. We will have future events and hopefully another one with Broderick. But our next artist is planning to arrive in town late next week. And you can learn more about that on the city Facebook page. We'll be sending out more information about the next murals that will be coming up in the downtown Kinston mural program. But thank you all very much for your attention and for your great questions. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah.
Bye. Peace,
Thank you
everybody.
again to everybody. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Definitely. Definitely.